Did you forget to include these layout ideas in designing your modern homestead? You really want to think about including these 7 different layout ideas to make your homestead function at its max. So what are these 7 ideas? Well, let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Katie, and this channel talks about buying a piece of land, building a home, and turning it into a homestead from the ground up with no experience. So if you're a homemaker or stay-at-home mom and this kind of stuff interests you because it's a goal of yours in the future, then hit that subscribe button. But today I want to talk about these 7 different layout ideas that you should really include when you are designing your modern homestead. So the first layout idea that I want to talk about is having a kitchen workhorse. And what I mean by that is a kitchen that really lends itself to doing all of the prep work with the food and canning and preserving and all that other good stuff that comes with having a homestead, and having the layout of the kitchen function at an optimal level. So what do I mean by this? Well, take for example where I am right now. I love to can, but the problem is the hood is so close to the stove range where when you go to pull out the can with the, I don't even know what you call them, the like things that you hold the cans when it's hot in the water, it gets in the way. And same thing with the cabinets over the countertop next to it. It's hard to kind of put them down in a strategic way. So thinking about that kind of stuff, like, okay, do I have the space next to the oven to be able to put the cans down? Is there enough space to have a pot where you can scoop in the different items or foods that you're preserving? That sort of stuff. Like, is the cabinets high enough so it doesn't get in the way? Also, having a big area, whether it's the kitchen island or just any kind of counter where you can prep food. Usually we are working in bulk. We're working with a lot of food, and that requires a lot of space. And it also might mean that we're in the kitchen doing multiple things. So even if it's not just the one thing that you're doing, you're probably having your bread rise in one corner and then, you're doing something in the next corner, and just having that counter space is crucial. So making sure that you have that and that it's in the areas that you need it to be and to function in the way that you function in your kitchen is huge. And lastly, like, even just having storage. Like, I can't tell you how much space just canning jars take up. Not even used canning jars, but just canning jars, because when I can, I'm gonna need them, but they might be empty right now. So just having space that is adequate in your kitchen to store all the different tools and equipment that you have to be able to preserve and can and do all that other good stuff on your homestead. I'll talk more about this next week, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, but the kitchen is definitely the workhorse of the house. So you need to make sure that the layout of the kitchen is going to function at an optimal level and based off of how you function and would like to work as a person. The next layout idea that I want to talk about is the basement, and having a basement that lends itself to working with you and for you. I find a lot of homesteaders, myself included, we buy in bulk or we preserve in bulk. I love buying in bulk. I get my wheat berries from Azure Standard, and this takes up space. And having a basement with shelves that you can put all the dry goods and all the pantry goods so it's out of the way of the kitchen, but you have it when you need it, is huge. And that's something that I really look forward to in having in the basement of the homestead that we're building, because I don't have that right now. So having a space where it's designated for food storage is great. And for us, we're blessed in the sense that we have a walkout basement, and it's because we are building on a hill. Not everyone has that opportunity. But if you do, a couple things to think about. For us, we have our washer and dryer in the basement. So if we plan on being outside and doing a bunch of work outside where like our shoes will drag in dirt or like will just be gross, we can just put all of our stuff right in the washer and dryer, just keep it right in the basement so we're not dragging mud throughout the whole house. Another thing, I would love to be able to get into beekeeping. So if you know anything about beekeeping, please put any kind of comment or any kind of tip below. But I'm kind of envisioning in my mind, I know you have to wear those suits, just having all of that equipment downstairs in the basement. I can get in and out of the house very easily. It's right there. Walk out right from the basement, and then I can keep it stored away in the basement, away from the rest of the house. The basement is also a really great location to keep an extra freezer, chest freezer, or an extra refrigerator. So we have both, and I'm excited because I want to get into cheese making. And I don't currently have a space where I can put the big chunk of cheese that I feel safe about. So just the idea of having an extra refrigerator plugged in that I can just store in there for aging is very exciting to me. But even just like, again, we buy in bulk. So having a space, a chest freezer to store, whether it's meat or prepped meals. I do a lot of prepping, and it's nice to have, again, that space where you can just store it all away, out of sight, out of mind. But when you don't feel like cooking, you can just take out that burrito bowl and throw it in the oven and call it a day. This next layout idea is definitely going to be much more, it depends, I guess you could say, on what your preference is. So we made our homestead open concept. And the logic behind this is because the house, the square footage is on the smaller side. So I wanted to give as much room as possible. And in my research, I've seen a lot of people say it's hard to keep clean, or like, you know, you're in the living room, you just want to not look at the dishes, but all you can see is the pile of dishes in the sink. I totally get it. I'm not super worried about this. One, I'm not gonna lie, my husband is slightly OCD, so I have that benefit, I guess you could say. He's very good about keeping up on the different chores if I'm not able to get to it. But the other thing, the nice thing for me is the idea is to hopefully start a family, and the idea that I can be in the kitchen and still watch my kids when they're in the living room, maybe in like a playpen or whatever, is very enticing. So I guess this is kind of like a, you know, it really depends on your personality and what you're looking for in the homestead. I guess we'll see. Like I said, I've never lived in a home or a open concept floor plan before, so I might take this back, but I'm hopeful. I think overall it will definitely be helpful for the stage of life that I'm in currently. The next layout idea that I want to talk about is having adequate storage space throughout the house, and depending on the type of homesteading you do, if that makes any sense. So like if you spend a lot of time in the kitchen and you have a lot of equipment, then having adequate storage space in the kitchen. But if you have more livestock, then maybe having a separate area, maybe like a little shed or something like that, that can keep all of the equipment. Because let's be real here, having a homestead takes a lot of stuff. You need a lot of different tools, a lot of different equipment to be able to do the job that you want to do. And it's not shocking, like I said earlier, just having the space in the kitchen with all the jars, the canning jars, like that takes up a lot of space. So having adequate storage in the way that you intend to use it, because there is something to be said about just having storage, but it's a random like cabinet in the living room, but that doesn't really help you when you need more space in the kitchen. Having adequate storage that suits your needs is big. So you really have to think about your lifestyle and what you plan on doing. And for example, when designing the home that we are hoping to live in this year, I spent a lot of time and I had to tape measure. I'm like, okay, this is how much I use in pantry space. Will this pantry that I have in my design plans suit my needs? And that's what you actually have to do. You actually have to take a tape measure and kind of, you know, think about anticipating future things that are happening. Like if you plan on, for me, like having kids, like, okay, like that might take up more closet space as far as having more food on hand. But then again, it just might mean that I go shopping more. So keeping that kind of stuff in mind, but actually like physically trying to measure the stuff that you have in the space that you need, so that you have the adequate storage and the house can lend itself, the homestead can lend itself to functioning to the max. This next layout idea, I almost didn't do to save money, but eventually some sense was talked into me, and I agree it definitely is needed, and that is to have windows on all sides of the house. Why is this important? Well, it's to keep tabs on what's going outside. I mean, you have a homestead. Most of the stuff that you survive off, the sustainability is outside, whether it's livestock or gardening. And having windows on all portions of the house, all sides of the house, allows you to keep tabs. So if you have ducks or any other kind of livestock, you can see if, in the event, there's a predator coming after them, or even just like predators going to your garden. Having all of those windows will help you keep tabs on what's going on outside at all times. This next one is a fun one, kind of my favorite, and that's a space outside to spend your downtime. Work hard and play hard, or relax, I guess you could say. Usually with a homestead, you are definitely working hard. You're spending a lot of time outside. It's just kind of who we are as people. We like being outside. And having a space like a porch or a patio that you can just relax outside, sip a cup of coffee in the morning, or drink a glass of wine at night or in the evenings, like just having that space is crucial. And like for me, like I'm blessed to have a screened-in porch, and I spend a lot of time on the porch. It's like my favorite room in the house, if it's even classified as a room. So again, having that space outside that you can just sit and take in the sun and be you is definitely a must in the layout idea for a homestead. So this next one might be a little more challenging. It's definitely challenging in our situation because we're building small, but having a space to tackle projects. And what I mean by that is on a homestead, you're most likely doing projects, whether you're refurbishing furniture or building some kind of structure for outside. If the weather's not great, you're gonna want a space to kind of do all this kinds of stuff. So whether that's an area in the basement, or even, for example, I considered not having a kitchen table and just eating at the kitchen island, but it's like, no, like you need that extra space to do projects. Like if I wanted to get into more sewing or any kind of crafting thing where you need that table space, it's not only a table, but it's a workhorse, you know what I mean? So just having that adequate space to work, if you can, as much as you can, will make a huge difference in how you're able to function on your homestead. But that is all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button and please comment on if I missed any things, any layout ideas that you think are crucial, especially if you are on a homestead already, that you think other people would like to hear. But until next time, I will see you then. Bye.